Hey everybody, I am here in my kitchen and it's not Tuesday. What's happening, right? Well, it is the day after Thanksgiving and I seem to be left with a lot of food, which I'm sure many of you are. And I thought if I was going to be making a dish with these leftovers, you might find it helpful for yourself. This dish I've made many times and it's always a success. And the best part is there's very little cooking that you have to do with it because most of the cooking's been done already, right? So what I have here is I have some stuffing left over. I have some turkey left over. This is just a little bit of it. The rest of it's in the refrigerator still. I've got some cranberry sauce. I have some gravy. And I'm going to put this all together as a shepherd's pie. And based on what you've made dictates what the taste will be. I tend to, where did I put my, I have some mashed sweet potatoes to put on top. If you had white mashed potatoes, you can use those as well. If you have mashed cauliflower or anything like that, you can use that as well. So to begin things though, we're going to start with a mirepoix, which is some onions, some celery, and some carrots. I'm going to fry them up in a saute pan here. This is a large deep dish saute pan that I like to use for this. I'm just going to take about a tablespoon of olive oil and heat that up in my pan. And I did take the liberty to cut everything up ahead of time, just so that we can make things move more quickly. I have one large onion here, and chopped pretty finely, you can see. I have a large carrot, and these were 2 small stalks of celery. Not very much, you could even use a little bit more if you'd like. I'm gonna add them into my saute pan. My oil's nice and hot. I can hear it sizzling. I'm going to add in the onions and the carrots right away and get those going. I have this on a high heat right now just while it is heating up. And I just want to get my onions to start to caramelize, start to heat up, become a little bit translucent. I want to soften up those carrots a little bit. I purposely cut everything, diced it fairly small so that things would cook quickly. I also like it a little bit smaller because we're going to be putting it into the pot pie, and I didn't want these big, huge pieces in there. So I'm just going to turn my heat down now to about a medium. And I'm going to let that start to cook. I'm going to give it a minute and then I'll add in my celery as well. Celery doesn't take quite as long, so that's the reason why I figure I'll just wait a minute to put it in. In the meantime, I'm going to take my chicken. I'm going to use about 2 to 3 cups. This container holds 3 cups. And what I pulled out were my slices of turkey breast. So this is a lot of white meat that's in here. I find that the dark meat is nice and juicy, so we like to use that for leftovers. Whereas the white meat can get a little dry if you keep reheating it. So I'm going to take the opportunity to use it in this dish. And I'm just cutting it into little bite-sized chunks. It's already been cut into slices. I took the skin off as well. By the way, I hope your turkey came out well this year. I know we're always wondering, is it going to be dry? Is it going to cook well? We had a good 12-pound turkey this year. I've got a lot of leftovers. So this is a good way to use up some of that turkey meat. I hope you had a fun time with friends and family, hopefully. I know we're hoping to come out of the pandemic sooner rather than later. Let me just give my onions a stir. Nice. Okay. So I'm just starting here to get the onions a little translucent. We're going to let that cook a little bit longer. I'm going to add in that celery. And you might be wondering what we're doing here. So what we are doing is we're going to be making the filling for that pie. But what I did beforehand was I made a crust from my leftover stuffing. So I have a little bit of stuffing here, even left over after all of this. I made two different stuffings this year. I made one that is a regular stuffing, and I shouldn't say I did. My husband was on stuffing patrol. So he did the stuffing this year. He did one regular one with bread and a paleo one, which is breadless. This morning, what I did was I took the stuffing. Did you notice this looks like yin and yang? I have my paleo stuffing over here and the regular stuffing over here. So when we eat our pie tonight, we can divide and conquer, so to speak. But what I did was I just pressed in the stuffing into the bottom of the pan. I added a little bit, maybe about a half cup of broth, just to moisten everything up. And I baked it at 375 degrees for about 30 minutes. Let it cool. So it's been sitting here just waiting for us to use it right now. So I'm going to finish cutting my turkey here. As I said, I removed the skin. And I'm just going to cube it. And I purposely picked these pieces because they'd be easy to chop, easy to cut up into bite-sized pieces. Turkey, by the way, has tryptophan in it, which is very good for us. I know we always talk about how it makes you sleepy, but tryptophan is helpful for so many different things. It's a precursor to serotonin, which is our feel-good hormone. But it's also used in building proteins and a lot of other different functions in the body. So, really healthy for us. I tried to cook anti-inflammatory for Thanksgiving dinner. It's not as easy as other meals, but it works out pretty well. Like I said, I did the paleo stuffing instead of the regular stuffing. Let me add in now my turkey to my vegetables here. They got a little bit browned while I was prepping the turkey, but it should be fine. I just wanted to cook those up. And now I'm going to add in my turkey. If you have a little bit of broth at this point, you might want to add a little bit in. I'm going to grab some of the turkey broth that I made with the gizzards. And it has a little bit of meat in it, but I'm just going to pour off the broth. And that keeps things from burning. It'll loosen up what's going on at the bottom of the pan here. So at this point we have a nice mixture of our turkey and our veggies. The veggies add a little color. There we go. Add a little color to the mix. Healthy vitamins and minerals. Important phytonutrients, right? You know I'm always talking about those. Those anti-aging chemicals that plants make help protect us and keep us feeling younger. So whenever I get a chance, I add in more vegetables, right? Okay. That's looking good. Now, I also have some frozen peas, which I thought I would throw in as well, because that's always good in a shepherd's pie, right? So I'm going to add in about a cup. Which is just about what I have left here. Pretty good. And I'm going to add that into my mix and let that heat up. The peas are pretty much cooked already, so they just really need to thaw for this dish. Plus, we'll be baking the dish later on, and everything will get cooked together. I'm going to add a little bit of flavoring, about a teaspoon of my poultry seasoning. I've got a lot in my stuffing, so I don't really need that much. You judge based on your stuffing recipe how much more seasoning you might like. I'm just going to add a little bit of salt to this and some pepper, some nice fresh ground pepper. All right. Here's what we have so far. All right. Make sure I put everything in that I'd like to. Now, at this point, if you wanted to add a roux or to do something to give a sauce-like consistency, you could add in a little bit of arrowroot or a little bit of flour mixed with a little bit of water. So I'm going to do that. Even better is if you have some turkey stock. I have actually run through all of my turkey stock. I'm going to put my saute pan on a low. But I am actually going to as you can hear me traveling through my kitchen here. All right, I was just checking to see if I had. So I don't have any broth. What I will do is I'm going to put in a little bit of arrowroot. So I have my arrowroot here. I'm going to just take about half cup of water. You can use your chicken broth. Sorry about that off-screen persona there, right? And I'm going to add about a tablespoon of arrowroot. And I'm just going to mix that up really nicely so that there's no lumps. And I'm going to add that in to my mix. I'm just going to take a little whisk here. Whisk it around, and I'm going to pour it right in. So that's going to thicken it up a bit. And I'm not really that worried that I didn't have the broth because I added in the poultry seasoning. And in addition to that, I have my leftover gravy that I'm going to be using as well. All right. So now I have my mixture. You can see it has a little bit of that arrowroot, making a little glaze over it. I'm going to move this over here and bring over my crust for my pie. All right, let me just double check, make sure I have everything in. I have my onion, my celery, and my carrot. I added a little bit of poultry seasoning, a little bit of salt and pepper. I added my arrowroot, which was mixed in with either broth or water, the way I did. And I'm just going to pour this mixture now over my crust. All right. If your mix seems a little dry, you can always add a little bit more liquid to it. Let's see if I have a little bit of broth here that I might just pour off and loosen up some of the glaze that is in the bottom of my pan here. Just loosening up those bits. And it will add a little bit of juiciness to that filling. All right. As you can see though, this kind of recipe, depending on what your leftovers are, it can be something different than what I have here, and use up what you have. All right, so I'm just flattening out that filling. Here we are. We're almost done, believe it or not. Now I'm going to take a little bit of my gravy, all right, that I have left over. I had it heating up on the stove here because it thickened a little bit. But I'm just going to spoon that over the mixture. So I would say I'm probably using about half a cup of gravy. I have the gizzards all cut up in there. Just add a little bit of juiciness to it. Yum. All right, put that down. Now I have my cranberry sauce. So let me grab a fresh spoon for that. I'm going to spoon that on top of this. Do you see where this is going? It's layers. So I'm probably putting on about, let's say about half a cup to, about a half a cup to a cup maybe even. No, not quite a cup. And I'm just going to cover the top. It's about a cup now. All right. I just made this with some frozen cranberries that I had in the freezer, with some figs that I had left over, cinnamon stick, and some apple cider. Ooh, yum. Add the cinnamon stick and a little bit of nutmeg. All right, we're just gonna give a little bit more. Talk myself into it. Okay, so we now have almost a full shepherd's pie. The last thing to do is add my sweet potato. So I mashed sweet potato left over. It had a pecan topping, which is kind of mixed in with it right now. I'm just going to try and evenly place this over because it's a little bit thick to be placing over my cranberry mixture. And I probably have about 2 cups of this that I can put on top. As I said, if you have mashed potatoes or mashed cauliflower, you can put that on top as well. And since I have the pecans already mixed in with this, I don't really even need to put any kind of topping on it. I think this will be just fine as it is. All right, and then I'm going to very carefully smooth that over my mixture. All right. And that's it. 20 minutes. We're done. I'm going to plop this into the oven. Like that, I plop it into the oven. I'm going to place it into my preheated oven, 375 degrees for a half hour. Again, that's what I toasted my crust at earlier in the day. All right. And there we have it. our shepherd's pie. This is one heavy shepherd's pie. Oh my goodness. But we are going to enjoy this. Just think of all the fun flavors that are in here. You have your stuffing, you have your turkey, you have your peas, you have your cranberry sauce, you have your gravy, and your mashed potatoes on top. What more could you want, right? This is great. Well, I've got my dinner for tonight. Hopefully you do too. Stress reduction on there, which is actually anti-inflammatory as well. Stress leads to an inflammatory response, so it's always good to kind of balance out and try to keep as healthy and balanced as possible, especially during the holiday seasons. Hope you are doing well, and I hope to see you. I think we're going to be skipping next week, and I will hopefully see you the week thereafter. So it'll be about a week and a half before I see you next. Hope everything goes well. Enjoy the holidays in the meantime, and I will see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye now.